Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe and the comics, TV, and movies. Who will go from the Mojoverse to Earth 616 to the superhuman law division of GL, K, and H to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Brent.
Alliance Assemble. Volume 129, another new episode of She-Hulk. How has your week been, Brent?
Chris, there's been a tragedy this week. A great, great tragedy.
Oh, no.
Epic proportions. My wife has found out Daredevil will appear in She-Hulk.
Oh, yes. I remember you shared with me the screenshot of her being quite
She was very
upset.
Facebook ad basically saw it before she knew. I'm like, why do you not have these things blocked? You shouldn't even be looking at them on Facebook because you don't want to know anything. She was not happy, but
darn algorithm of Facebook.
I will say this: I'm almost glad it wasn't this week, because now at least she wasn't 2 days away from finding out. She was at least a week. So, but that's I mean, all things considered, I mean, realistically, now we're good.
Hey, impressive enough that she actually made it. I know she's pretty much, like you said, trailer reverse. So that is impressive.
Yeah.
But
How have you been?
It's been a long week, but we power through, we get through. The good thing is, my kids had a good week at school, had good soccer practice earlier this week, and they got a soccer game this weekend. So got a nice little get together with the neighbors this weekend. So as the song says, I am working for the weekend. Well, however, I will not be dancing like Chris Farley, though. I will appreciate Chris Farley dancing. I will not dance like Chris Farley.
I wish you were. That'd be more fun.
That may be a Patreon tier. Who knows?
All right, let's make it happen, people.
All right. Well, let us get into all these lovely, lovely show plugs. So, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with 8 shows. On Mondays, we got Ranger Alliance alternating bi-weekly with Slice of Film. On Tuesdays, DC Alliance superhero discussions on Wednesdays, Star Wars Alliance on Thursdays, Marvel Alliance on Fridays, a walk through the multiverse alternating bi-weekly on Saturdays, and my show, World's Finest True Believers, dropping monthly on Sundays. And that is coming up. This Sunday is the last Sunday of the month, so I have a new episode coming to you very, very fast on Sunday. It is a returning guest. Omar from Near Mint Condition is making his return appearance onto the show with his favorite story of all time. If you've ever been a fan of his channel, you probably will make a big guess of what it is, but it's finally getting him on to talk about why he loves this story so much. And look for that preview tweet on Friday afternoon, and as I said, it will drop on Sunday morning. So hope you all enjoy that. And if you want to watch any of these shows live, you can subscribe to the Geekverse Podcast YouTube channel. And on Mondays, DC Alliance goes live on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Star Wars Alliance is going live and making a new time on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want to wish congratulations to Clay and his wife and their lovely new bundle of joy. He is going on paternity leave. So Katie has a new guest host and maybe a few alternating other guest hosts coming on, but they're moving their time from Wednesdays from 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the live broadcast. So be on the lookout for that. And then this show, as always, goes live at 9:10 Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. And each one of those shows has a separate solo feed, separate from the GUA feed, if you just want to listen to those. We also have a Patreon, so if we want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers. We got the $1 tier to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job, and then we've got our $5 tier, our ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and our Patreon exclusive shows. Brent, we are getting ready to drop episode 9 of We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance MCU rewatch, and what it will be dropping.
I was like, what did we just talk about? Iron Man 3?
Yes, Iron Man 3.
All Hail the King.
And when are we dropping that? Because I couldn't remember Sunday or Monday.
I believe I have it scheduled to go out Sunday. I'm going to confirm that. Let's just call it Sunday. I'm going to make it Sunday.
Yep. All right. So it's going to be Sunday at that point. So look out for those for patrons. Again, we greatly appreciate your support. We would do this without you. But if you can't join us on, but if you do want to join us on Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/GUA Network. and you can be a part of the G-Way Patreon. So I want to greatly thank you again. But if you can't join us on Patreon, we want to, you can still support the show by dropping taking about 30 to 90 seconds and giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcatcher of choice may be. And last, but certainly not least, we want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for your omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got it going on with all your hardcover needs, your omnibus needs. They got immaculate shipping, excellent customer service, ships around the world, all different kind of payment options, great shipping. And if you use that code MarvelGUA at checkout, you get $2 off every single order. They just uploaded last week a new pre-orders for some a lot of new collected editions. We've got Hulk Maestro by Peter David, first time collected in Omni format. Cablepool and Deadpool coming back out. Loki in omnibus format. Dr. Aphra Volume 2. Captain Marvel by Kelly Thompson omnibus. And, here's a good one, Brent. Superior Spider-Man, first time in Omni format and collecting the original Peter David run.
So good. Good.
So again, use that code MarvelGUA at checkout for $2 off every single order, and we want to thank them for being our official sponsor. All right, Brent. So we've got episode 6 of She-Hulk entitled Just Jen. What are some of your non-spoiler thoughts?
All right, let's just get this out of the way now. People are going to be mad that Daredevil wasn't in this week. And you know what? Sure. I wanted him to be in this week too because he's now probably in next week's episode.
Wait a minute. People are mad about at She-Hulk at a She-Hulk show?
I know. And it's ridiculous. I can't believe it. It's the first time for everything. I wanted him to be in this week's too. He wasn't. It's okay. The show is a sitcom. It gave us a sitcom story trope. It's I don't even want to spoil it yet, but go into that. But it's just your standard thing that every single sitcom has at least 1 or 2 episodes like this. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Overall, I think they pulled it off. I thought it was pretty funny. I had a good time with it. Tatiana Maslany as Jen is just fun to watch. She's just fun to play this character. No, this isn't the most action-packed Marvel show that we have gotten. This isn't Moon Knight, or this isn't Hawkeye or Falcon and Winter Soldier, things that just had quite a bit more action, but it's fun, and that's okay. And I kind of like just, getting to be in this world and have them go about their lives and just see them with their daily stuff. And you know what? The B plot, which was the legal case this week, made me laugh more than once. So, I can't complain.
Yeah, I love how the fourth wall breaking goes in the episode where she okay, we're getting a little spoiler, but it's not that big of a deal, where she says, yeah, I know, an episode, this one-off episode, a wedding episode, it's inconvenient, but so are weddings. And, it was almost at that point they knew people after the stinger of the last episode. They knew some people was like, oh, it's going to be this episode? Nope, sorry, not this time.
Oh, they know exactly what they're doing.
They are. And you know what? That's fine. Again, that's what this show is. Self-aware. It understands, pulling the tongue in cheek. But yeah, I think I enjoyed the B plot with Mallory and Nikki just a little bit more than the A stuff with the wedding. Even though I still enjoyed the wedding, I enjoyed the B plot just a little bit more.
All right.
So, but yeah, it's still running good. Good average episode. Nice little veering off the path at that point. But again, I think what I liked about this is we got a couple. Even though we get what they say, the new law case of the week, it wasn't with Jen this time. So it was nice still having that, but getting to see Jen still dealing with this whole idea of who does she prefer, She-Hulk or Jen, in what point. And, it's a good kind of dynamic of things she brought up to Bruce at the beginning of the season. So, All right. So let us take our first ad break. So if you have not seen the first episode, this episode of She-Hulk, stop. watch it and come back on. And but yeah, so as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they could be a bit loud, so give it a 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right, so the show opens with Jen getting a kind of package, a gift package of some sort, and it has her name on it. And as I watched it for the second time with Aaron, and she opens up the box, and a whole bunch of glitter pops out, and then opens up a card, and even more glitter comes out, and she just looks at me and said, I know, I would literally just throw the rest of it away, and whoever this person is, I would find them and firebomb them. I cannot stand glitter cards, glitter coming out of things. Oh God, because it just you keep on finding it for months later.
My wife calls glitter the herpes of craft supplies. Once it's there, you're not going to get rid of it. So
yep, yeah. So it's there, but it's a high school friend that she is, as she admits later on, that she has completely lost touch with, asking her to be a bridesmaid. And so, Nikki kind of comes in, and, Jen's more excited about, like, she talks about like, oh, Lulu and we kind of falling out. So I really don't know why she's having me come, but I'm going. But I get to wear this awesome rehearsal dress that she just got designed by Mr. Jackson last week. And Nikki seems more interested, well, you're going to bring the super suit? You're going to wear the super suit? And she's just like, I don't even know if I'm ever going to need that or wear that. So, no.
So this was episode 6, right?
Yes.
So we're officially moving into the third act before we get the super suit. Come on, God. Just show us earlier.
The last episode, right?
No, it's not the last episode, but it's the third act. And I'm not surprised.
Yeah. But as we kind of already talked about, she broke the fourth wall, saying, yeah, weddings are an inconvenience. Sorry, we're inconveniencing you. But this is what shows sometimes do. And then we get the title sequence coming in because, title sequence comes in later, I think, after she goes to she's going to the rehearsal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she goes to the rehearsal as She-Hulk. She's very confident walking in, and, it's all the other bridesmaids are commenting how good she looks, how awesome she's doing, and then Lulu does not look happy, her friend, and she says, I need you not to be She-Hulk because you're going to take away all the attention from me, and I need you to go back to being Jen. And she was just like, well, I thought this was going to be a weekend of some She-Hulk, but looks like it's just Jen, and so the title sequence comes in as Just Jen, Attorney at Law.
When she first shows up as She-Hulk, I'm like, what is she doing? This is an opportunity just to be Jen. And that's what she has said she wants to do. She wants people to see her as more than just She-Hulk, as who she really is. But she then called it out, No, normally I wouldn't want to do this either. Fourth wall break, just calling out her own hypocrisy there, using She-Hulk a little to show off. And all right, I can respect it.
Mm-hmm. But then we flash back to the law firm, and Mallory and Nikki. Nikki had referenced that she'd be working with Mallory back at Jen's apartment on a divorce case. So we get a little bit more of Mallory at that point, and their client is Mr. Immortal, who is an actual comic book character from Marvel Comics.
Yep.
He discovered his gift after he apparently tried to kill himself several times, and discovered he kept on coming back to life. After realizing he wouldn't die, decided to use this gift with a new purpose in life and do more dangerous things, and got very reckless over time. He did join the West Coast Avengers and then founded the Great Lake Avengers, and apparently got into a big legal trouble with Hawkeye, who basically sued him and sent a cease and desist order for trademark infringement.
They should do that. In a presumed season 2, to just do that.
But after a while, Mr. Immortal got very deeply depressed because as he continues to live, all his friends and family around him pass away. So very interesting character.
Jumping ahead, we meet all his ex-wives and his ex-husband, right? All his former spouses. they're all pretty close in age to each other, it looked like, right? Like when he was talking about all these different spouses, like I was expecting like a range from like 20 years old to like 90 something years old. And I was just really, it looked like everybody was like,
I'd say
35 to 55 maybe.
Yeah, I'd say within a 10 to 15 year range.
Which is impressive considering he was married to the one person for 17 years, to another person for 3 or 4, and had a baby with her. It's like ridiculous, but
some of these could have also been like at the same time too.
Yeah, I kind of wondered about that later. I was like, oh, maybe he's got more game than we realize, I guess.
Exactly. But after Mallory and Nikki find out he's been faking his death when he gets bored with his spouses, they get pretty upset with him, and he kind of gets tired of dealing with it, and he jumps out the window and comes crashing out in a police car. And that is where your QR code is found this week, ladies and gentlemen. And it is the issue number 46 of West Coast Avengers with Mr. Immortal. And just as he says, he dies for just a little few seconds and then reanimates and walks away like nothing ever happened. So we flashed back to the wedding, and we have a surprise guest that shows up at the wedding.
Yeah, Titania just walking in, and they're all excited to see her, and says she's dating one of the groomsmen. And it dawned on me later, she doesn't even know the groom's name because she's talking to Jen, and she's like, "I'm just here to celebrate Lulu and her groom." Like she didn't even know his name.
Yeah. But even before that, what stood out to me was the conversation Lulu and Jen was having. Like Lulu comes up to her and says, "Jen, how are you doing? Talk to me about what's going on." It's like, "Oh, well, everything's kind of going great. I'm a Hulk now, and I'm joining this really prestigious law firm. I'm the head of this new division. I'm winning all my cases." She's like, "No. I don't care about any of that. Are you dating anyone? Are you seeing anyone?" She's like, "No, and I'm okay with that." It's like, "Oh, honey, you've got You've got time. You still got a little bit of time left." And it goes back to what she said with Bruce, talking about, like, I have to deal with not only men underestimating me, I have to deal with women and everyone else underestimating me, forcing a societal kind of image of, like, I need to be with someone, things like that. Like, it's just a complete callback to that scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For sure. She's just getting, everybody is just looking down on her, basically.
Yeah, it doesn't. Nobody cares about how successful she has as a career. It's just like, do you have a man? Are you married? Are you having kids? So
there's still time. Ugh,
yes.
Gross.
So Jen goes outside and sitting there because she's kind of ticked off about Lulu saying what she said, Titania being there, trying to mess with her. And, nobody wants to believe her that Titania is there to mess with her because it's Titania. She's a celebrity. Why would she ever want to do that? Well, remember, it's not all about you, Jen.
Yeah, it's not like they just had a court battle. It's not like she first attacked her in a different courtroom setting. No, why would she ever come mess with her? Come on.
Well, people. It's even more humorous when she says, "Not all about you, Jen," when Titania is the definition of it's all about her. So. But yeah, Jen goes outside, feeling kind of down, and then we get a mystery man rolling up, and his name is Josh.
Did we trust Josh?
Yeah, that's what I would kind of want to get into. He appears nice. He definitely appears to be interested in Jen, at least a little bit here. But I kind of did a little digging, and he could be not all he seems to be. This could be the MCU's version of Josh Glenn, aka the Hate Monger.
Ooh.
The Hate Monger was originally a clone of Adolf Hitler, but later on, Josh Glenn came into the picture, and he became obsessed with all these online conspiracies, and he learned about the Hate Monger and decided to take on the mantle. And so, in the comics, he's a racist. Now, they could shift this for him being a misogynistic sexist at that point. So he could be kind of tied in with the Wrecking Crew, because now this is our new Mephisto. Is every guy coming up to him have an ulterior motive for Jen?
Right. That the Wrecking Crew idea is basically what I was thinking of, and it would almost surprise me more if it did turn out that he just actually was a nice guy at the wedding, right? Like, statistically, she's got to meet one at some point. So maybe this is the guy.
Yeah. But we'll get back to Josh in a little bit. So she later meets up with the bridesmaids in her bridesmaid's dress, and it's way too big for her because when she probably gave her measurements for this, she was planning to come as She-Hulk.
Yep.
But it kind of seems like this is all set up because she comes in and saying, "Oh yeah," one of the other bridesmaids said, "Yeah, the guys got their shirts all wrinkled for playing Mario Kart on the Switch."
I mean, video games. They're on ESPN now, so
Apparently, yeah, it's pretty extreme at that point. So apparently, she's on irony duty. And at the beginning of the episode, there was this, like, she saw the groomsmen that were there. So wait a minute, where's mine? It's like, oh, he's coming in later. He's a little different. And I'm no joke. Aaron's like, oh yeah, she's probably gonna be walking with the dog. I said, how do you get that from this? He said, oh, I think it's kind of a thing. And so when we meet her other groomsmen, she called the dog. No joke. I completely before it happened, I tried to play it off. It's like, yeah, well, how do you? Like I said, how do you get that from this? She's just good like that sometimes. And there's the dog. A Chinese crushed it that apparently got resuscitated that morning, and he leaks a little.
Okay. Yeah, the dog. I don't know. I was just surprised they did not show it, but I mean, I feel like if I'm her, I'm just leaving the wedding right then and there. Just screw it. Just leave.
Yeah, exactly. But she's trying to be a better person. She doesn't want to look like it's not all about her, and doesn't want to let Titania win because we all know that Titania's there to mess with her. So, but then we get to the wedding, and the DJ of the wedding is someone we know and love.
The Cheddable Hulk.
The Cheddable Hulk, cashing in on that family tie, right?
Yeah, I saw some stuff online. People were like, "Who is this DJ guy?" Like, where? I'm like, it's Ched. Like, Ched. They said earlier he was going to be the DJ at it. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah. Best Buy only pays so much. He's got to make some side money.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, those She-Hulk signed exclusive merchandise from Titania. Now they're become collector's items since she has to stop it, right? So. But she decides, what, she's going to cut loose. She's already having a miserable time. Why not have a little drinks? And she starts breaking down the dance floor. And I'll tell you what, I'm impressed by the songs they got licensed for the show for this episode, because she's just having a good time and doing all the cheesy dances and having, the time of her life, despite not enjoying this wedding.
Yeah. I mean, she's having, she's drunk. Call it what it is.
She's totally
she's
drunk.
Having a good time, but she's drunk.
Now, she does make a drunk call to Bruce, who we don't know. Like, she says, I haven't heard from you in days, months, couple months at that point. Where are you at? I have a feeling we're going to see Bruce again.
This made me wonder. They showed him, they referenced him in the previously on, and then she calls him. Yep. I had thought going into this episode we were done with him outside maybe a credit scene. Mm-hmm. This almost makes me think like they're going to have an actual conversation. Like, even if it is a credit scene that's going to be more than 10 seconds, like, it's going to be an actual scene.
How about, better yet, what if we do get not just Hulk coming back, Abomination coming back, and them two finally meeting? That
would be nice to see. See
that is not necessarily, I wouldn't know, end credit or even final episode. That would just be cool to see.
I mean, maybe the Abomination could recite some of his haikus for Bruce.
Maybe introduce all 6 of his wives.
I believe it was 7.
7 wives.
7. Yep, because they were his better 8s.
Yes, that's true. But then we flash back to the lawsuit going on, the divorce thing, and we, as you said, we see the number of women Mr. Immortal has been with, and a man. And you know what? Good for Marvel. Good for Marvel.
Yes, he had more significant others than Emil Blonsky did, though.
Exactly. And again, do you want to know his secret? He's a charmer, and I love it that they said. One of the them said that they found out about his ability from the site. What is it now? I've got it written down.
Intelligentsia.
The Intelligentsia. So I'll get into the Intelligentsia once we get to Nikki and Mallory at the end of the episode. Yeah. We'll get into that a little bit later.
There's something to that, I think.
There is something very much to that. And so they're very upset because he's not only been faking his own death, he's having all these different identities. The women and the former wives and the husband feel very taken from, and they've spent all this money on funerals and livelihoods and had kids with him, and they're just, tired of it. So I love it when Nikki and Mallory have a powwow with him and saying, "Are you kidding me? This is worse than we could have possibly imagined." And she said, "The only way we're going to do this is you're going to pay, and you're going to pay dearly for this." And he says, "Why are you smiling?" And she says, "It's kind of fun."
Yeah. I love that one of the terms they agree to is a an apology with 20 seconds of eye contact.
Yes. And I like how he originally said, I've amassed a large fortune from shares that Apple shares that he bought in 1981, and Apple was founded in 1980. So these would be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on how many shares he's gotten.
Yeah, would love to know how many he had actually bought.
And he said from his first wife, gold bars from the Baroness Cromwell, which could be a call out to Lady Cromwell, better known as the Baroness Blood, who has ties to Dracula.
She's a vampire, right?
Yeah, vampire. And so I wouldn't necessarily be too nonchalant about necessarily ticking off someone who has ties to Dracula. Just saying.
Yeah.
But I love it how Nikki is the one that kind of finds the creative way to do this,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she figured it out. And what is it Mallory said? Like unconventional and excellent or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Again, loving the dynamic between those two. So we go back to the wedding, and Josh comes over and gives her some very nice compliments. And, he's playing the nice guy. He says, I think you're pretty awesome. I think you're pretty great. And so as he says that, she's like, "Oh no," runs outside, vomits with rage on the flowers, and someone looks like they're trying to console her. Nope, it's Titania, and she sucker punches him. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying, how is she able to not show any kind of injury from getting hit by Titania in her human form? And I say, remember, she's got gamma blood running through her, which also has healing properties, not just being in She-Hulk form.
Yeah, I almost feel like if they were really going to go with that, they would have needed to show some healing, besides what it worked on for Bruce, but on her. But honestly, I chalked it up to it's a sitcom. I just moved on. It's like she's going to become She-Hulk in a minute anyway, and any injury she would have had is gone. So whatever.
Yeah, it'd be Kyle in the chat saying, "Am I the only one not a fan of Titania?" I mean, it's okay of a character. I really have no sayings of saying I really like her as a character in the comics necessarily. She's just your standard run of the mill kind of, in my opinion, kind of a throwaway villain.
I've seen some sentiment there agreeing they don't really like Titania in the show. For me, I have no real attachment to her in the comics. She shows up and I'm like, okay, there she is, just some strong person to fight. Whatever, no big deal.
Again, She-Hulk is not the one that's bringing in the really big rogues gallery either. No. But again, it's serviceable kind of foil to She-Hulk and Jen Walters at this point. So I'll just accept it for right now. And so she's basically trying to get her to fight. She said, I told you I was going to humiliate you. I want to humiliate you publicly. Get me She-Hulk. And how about did you think of her not being able to transform in that moment? I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it really reminded me of Infinity War with Bruce's his struggles. I just half expected her to yell no as turning green like that happened to him. Yep. But it quickly changed afterwards, and I like the way they did it. It was shot interesting from her POV and stuff. At the same time, a way to save a lot of money on the CGI there, but not actually showing it.
Yep, exactly. Good move. So when she finally transforms at that point, she gets into another fight with Titania, and she, just like the first time, even though Titania gets a few good licks in at that point, She-Hulk's able to handle her, and what takes her out is slipping on the ice, and man, she ruins those veneers pretty royally.
I think her slipping on the ice and falling is going to probably upset some people. I was enjoying the little action scene we had right before there. It was funny when She-Hulk waved to Josh real briefly. Hi. But to me, it was a funny way to end the show or to end the fight. It seemed fitting. What's worse to someone, a social media influencer like Titania, embarrassing her publicly and it being recorded? So,
yep.
I guess the question is, have we seen the last of her?
I don't think so.
No, I'd be surprised.
I think we were getting at least one more episode with her.
But she didn't say that this isn't over.
No,
she
she
said
didn't.
that last time, and she's like, "I literally told you this isn't over."
Well, and then Lulu comes in, and I was just waiting for you promised. Nope, she's drunk, and she's very excited that She-Hulk came to the wedding. So all's
Yes.
well that ends well. So then we flash back to Mallory and Nikki and checking out the Intelligentsia site, which I remember was the wife, the ex-wife who said that. Mallory is the one who said, "Oh, it's that crying man baby site."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I had to explain to Aaron what she meant by that.
Sure. Yeah.
So they go to the website, and it's Intelligentsia is from the comics. It is made up of some of the most intelligent villains of the Marvel universe, and it includes MODOK and the Leader.
Yes. Both characters confirmed coming.
Confirmed coming, and we've seen Marvel do this before, and I will point to, when Ant-Man and Quantumania was saying Jonathan Majors was announced as Kang. A little bit later, we got Loki, and then in the final episode, we saw our first appearance of Jonathan Majors. He was not named Kang. He was He Who Remains, but this was our first appearance of Kang in the MCU.
I think there's a reasonable chance that the Leader is going to be appearing in this.
Yep. They are responsible in the comics for creating Red She-Hulk and Amadeus Cho's version of the Hulk.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get some of that stuff. That would be interesting.
That would make the most sense that they are behind the Wrecking Crew. But on that website, I did find a small little Easter egg.
Okay.
And it said top 10 destinations and shows a map of Cookville. This is a callback to Loki. Sylvie bombed that area in an alternative timeline in 1999.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that was the only Easter egg I kind of found with that one. And so they click on the Slutty She-Hulk tab, and it leads to a member's login. And so they create an account at that point to get past it to see what's on there. And there's this hashtag Hulk King, which is also a callback in the comics when he was an emperor. And it also could be based on the Pepe the Frog meme, which would fit with what this site is about.
Wow, you saying that just reminded me we're still supposed to get Frogman.
Oh,
It's
yep.
gonna be sooner than later. I had forgotten about that.
Got 3 more episodes. Could the Frogman episode be next week and Daredevil be after that?
We're gonna watch Daredevil fight Frogman. People are gonna be so pissed. I hope it happens. That sounds awesome.
And Henry Cavill comes in.
I mean, everybody thinks he's coming.
Yep, he's coming. And so they see all this other misogynistic red eyes of She-Hulk, saying she looks like a man, lots of death threats. How do we kill She-Hulk? How do we take her out? She's terrible. Again, it's poking fun at, unfortunately, the reality of what we see a lot of times in our circles and what we're actually seeing with She-Hulk now too. Get over yourself, guys. Sorry. Again, this show's not for you. Leave it alone. But you need your clicks and you need your fake fans. So there we are. I said it. I don't apologize.
That's right. So all in all, again, I think this episode was fun. I enjoyed it. So I'm.
But we did forget. We didn't get to the end.
You're right. There is one other thing I wanted to bring up there.
Yep. Go for it.
It's about the end with this person we see working at a computer, bunch of analytics of Jen of She-Hulk. Shows a very, very massive looking needle. Appears to be preparing that. But I wanted to know if you caught the message that popped up on the screen in front of him.
Yeah, the message, it said it was from Hulk King and said that, where was it? It is the next phase of the plan ready to go.
Right. So the first time I watched that, I definitely thought that said it was from Hulkling, as in the Young Avenger Hulkling. And I was like, wait, what? What is going on? Back it up a little. Pause it. Oh, Hulk King. Okay, so Hulk King is not something I'm familiar with. I wanted to know if you were.
Yeah, it could be the reference to when he was an emperor in the comics. So,
but then, are we to presume that's Bruce?
No, I'm not presuming it's Bruce. I think this could be the Leader. This is like the Mr. Blue thing again. That's my guess.
Okay.
He's just going under a different identity. So, but yeah, then Nikki tries to warn her about it, despite Mallory telling her, I wouldn't do that if I were you, let her live her life. But how about the revelation? Mallory has been married happily for 11 years and has a son.
Yeah, you're right. And you brought up Mallory saying to Nikki, don't tell Jen about it. Right? You said I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. So
Do we take her at face value there, or is there something a little more? I don't know. I just had a weird vibe the way she was like saying, no, don't tell Jen about it. She doesn't need to know.
yeah, exactly. But we'll just have to see. And while they're preparing that needle, we saw before that they are watching Jen and Josh split some fries. So they do have some eyes. So we'll see. So you're saying Daredevil's next week?
I mean, odds are at this point. I feel like Daredevil's next week, leaving room for a 2-part finale for Jen to face off with whoever she's facing off with.
Now, what do you think? I listened to Phase Zero, while making some dinner tonight, and BD has this. Unfortunately, he has this theory that he's seeing this trend in the Disney Plus shows, and he's saying that there's this very big trend of the villain, that we don't get the long burn of the villain. We suddenly get the villain towards the last couple of episodes, the revelation. And he's right now not a fan. What do you think about this trend that we're seeing?
I mean, sure, show them earlier, but I heard what he said. I get what he's saying, but I don't entirely agree. Because, for example, in WandaVision, Agatha's in the first episode. We did not know she was the villain right away, but she's in the first episode.
Yeah. And she's throughout the show for the most part.
I mean, in Falcon and Winter Soldier, he's facing off with Flag Smashers right away. It's debatable if they were the big villain or if the Power Broker was. But even with the Power Broker, she comes into play in like episode 3, I think it is. Hawkeye, yeah, okay, I'll give you. We don't see Kingpin until the last episode. I'm not counting the picture at the end of episode 5. But Echo is absolutely like a villain of the show. And she's there. She's what, episode 2, I think she showed up in, like at the end of it. I don't know if I completely agree with him. And no, Echo wasn't the main person, but she was like second in command, and it was definitely her thing. Arthur Harrow in Moon Knight, I mean, he's there at the beginning. Like Moon Knight opens with him. I get his point. I just don't entirely agree with it. I think there's still enough other villains that we are getting. I mean, Loki, yes, absolutely. Loki, like last episode for sure. I'll give him Loki. But I can't agree with it.
Well, I mean, even this show, I mean, again, as we've said before, this is a different type of show with it. So it's kind of hard when you're trying to do kind of a comedy show and having, quote unquote, a villain with this. So you kind of have to get a little creative with it. Again, I see some of his point, but I'm like you. I don't fully agree with it at that point. But something I thought about bringing up. But all right,
Sure.
So we've got episode 7 next week. We will see if Mr. Murdoch finally makes his Daredevil debut next week. And but yeah, so we will take our ad break before we head into the news. So again, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on at the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. They can be a bit loud, so I'll give you that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right, so a few little news hits. We're going to start off with a video game announcement at that point. So as I change the background to give it away, Electronic Arts officially announces new Iron Man video game. So this week they revealed an all-new single-player third-person Iron Man game that is in early development for Marvel Games and Motive Studios. The action-adventure title is confirmed to feature an original story that taps into the rich history of the Armored Avenger, allowing players to feel what it's like to play as Tony Stark and Iron Man. Bill Roseman, Vice President and Creative Director of Marvel Games, expressed, "We are thrilled to collaborate with a talented team at Motive Studios to bring the original vision of one of Marvel's most important, powerful, and beloved characters. Their experience delivering both established entertainment, worlds, and thrilling gameplay, combined with their authentic passion for the armored icon, will fuel our quest to deliver a love letter to a legendary hero of Iron Man." So the game is in current pre-production. Nothing really was shown out. Now this game had been rumored for a while, so it's nice to finally see a confirmation of this. in addition, the confirmation that we see of this, last year's Square Enix's Guardians of the Galaxy game, very well received. I've played a little bit of it. I've enjoyed what I've played from it at that point. But what do you feel about this kind of single-player, third-person view of Iron Man game? Because we did have a VR Iron Man game. I personally haven't played it.
I haven't played the VR one, but yeah, the third person, hopefully open world, a kind of thing for these superhero games. That's ultimately what I would want. Yeah, and even if it's not truly open world, it seems like it's gonna be a good time. It's from the people that did Guardians of the Galaxy, right? I have not played that a ton, but I've played a little bit of it. David was nice enough to loan me his copy, which I still have, and he's finished it. It's all right, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. It's just, a question of time and stuff. This comes out, I'll absolutely check out the trailers and stuff. And while I'm not going to say I'm like snap guaranteed going to buy it the way I would the next Insomniac Spider-Man game, the way I'm planning to Insomniac's Wolverine game based on the credibility they've built up with me for the 2 Spider-Man games I've played so far, I'm definitely interested in this. I would definitely check it out. And, by the time this comes out, maybe people will actually be able to buy PlayStation 5. So we'll find out.
Well, they can buy them. You just got to find them first. So
yeah, indeed.
No, I'm excited about this. What like you said, playing even as Iron Man in the Lego games at that point is a fun game. Marvel's Avengers, it was fun. I wanted a little bit more, but again, the Avengers game was something different than a straight just focused Iron Man game. So in my mind, I'm expecting a lot of kind of globe trotting with it. I don't know how much is it going to be one of these things where we're going to get some walking and talking kind of quick timed conversation thing with Tony Stark before we get an Iron Man armor. How is it going to be an open world? They focused on the idea that this is going to be, taking from the history, but a story that we have not seen, but taking from the history of Iron Man. So it's going to be interesting of how much MCU influence will be in this one.
I really hope that they mimic what Spider-Man did with the costumes, and that there's just a slew of armors.
Oh,
but
yes.
in Spider-Man's case, they're truly just skins, right? It doesn't change anything.
Well, a little bit, but not. Yeah, I see your point.
Very little. Like in this, I would give different armors with different capabilities and different weapons. Bring in the Hulkbuster versus the suitcase suit from Iron Man 2. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's also a very fun thing for them to kind of think, hey, if it could be some kind of pre-order bonuses or season pass things they can, I hate to say it, monetize, because I'm not advocating for that, but it is EA, and they've had a unfortunate history of
it's good
trying to get people.
It's good business. It is.
It's good business. I don't have to like it, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Won't deny that. So, all right. Well, there's no release date on that. Again, it is in early stages, so I'm predicting probably we're looking at 2 to 3 years before we see this gain any kind of firm understanding of when it's coming. But again, exciting nonetheless.
Definitely.
All right. So the next one, where MCU rumor mill is popping back up. As those of you looking live, you see the banner has changed. MCU rumor reveals Punisher may be coming to Daredevil Born Again. So the Hollywood Reporter first reported that Charlie Cox's Daredevil is seeking to reunite with Kristen Ritter's Jessica Jones in the upcoming Echo series, leading to a much-awaited reunion between the two Defenders. Many have speculated that the pair's team up in Echo would lead them to an extended reunion on Daredevil Born Again, but it seems that this may not be the case as much anymore. Casey Walsh of the Geeks Worldwide implied on Twitter that John Bernthal's Punisher could show up in Daredevil Born Again to take a rumored role that was originally supposed to be Kristen Ritter's Jessica Jones. He said, "I know I was in denial about it, but it sounds like another popular character will show up as well due to a scheduling conflict, as it appears they will take the rumored role of that Jessica Jones had." Moreover, Cape Time podcast Tom Smith added more to this by saying, basically, Born Again is a reintroducing of the Netflix characters to the mainstream, and they plan to bring in Ritter, but there's a scheduling problem for Born Again, so they needed another Netflix star to fill in the role, and it's John Bernthal. Wouldn't be shocked if Ritter cameos, though. And then reliable scooper Charles Murphy of Murphy's Multiverse corroborated what Walsh and Smith said and added in his own 2 cents. He said, "For what it's worth, I too have heard about the Bernthal buzz. may remember months back I said that I was told to pump the brakes on the Ritter joining Echo Daredevil Born Again. This was why in Bernthal's name was mentioned. He said, I will also say I'm absolutely not confirming, I'm just sharing what I heard. He followed up by saying that the original plan was for Jessica Jones to be mentioned in Echo before appearing fully in Born Again. Again, this doesn't mean that she's completely out. It may be her role may be changing in the sense of more cameo than kind of like recurring character.
Okay, so Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio. Do you remember who my third was on my list of wants from the Netflix era?
Mr. Bernthal.
Mr. Bernthal. So I'll take it. Sign me up for this. Yeah, I would like Kristen Ritter to come back. Absolutely, I'd be very happy if that happened. If I had to pick one, though, I'll take the Punisher. But I mean, everything I read here, I'm like, I like the sound of all of this. Like, yeah, I would have loved the idea of Daredevil, working with Jessica Jones, and there were those rumors of her, like, of him looking for her and stuff. Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, if we're going to pivot to the Punisher and it's just a scheduling thing and they still may have her cameo, that's best of both worlds, right? Because now we're getting them all back and confirmed.
Yeah, especially with the rumor of when Daredevil finally does drop on She-Hulk, the rumor was that he may be referencing Jessica Jones at that point.
I think the original rumor was he'd be referencing it in the Echo show, but...
The only reason I say the She-Hulk one right now, I think originally, there was a lot of rumors saying Kristen Ritter was going to be in She-Hulk at one point. Now
I do remember that, yes.
And so now it's shifted to Daredevil on the search for Jessica Jones.
Maybe that's
what
I'm remembering.
So again, I like how they're pivoting this, but they didn't say, like, it doesn't mean that she may not be in Born Again, but she's just, her role may be a little more reduced because of her scheduling conflict, which, again, this does not close the door. If it sounds like they're in the Kristen Ritter camp, they want her to come back. They're just, it may not be as much for the project as originally thought. But again, we've said it before, we are going to be very curious to see how they reintroduce John Bernthal's Punisher into the MCU proper again. So
there's also been rumors of Eldon Henson coming back as Foggy
yes.
and Deborah Ann Wool as Karen. Who do you think will be the first character from the Netflix show to get recast?
Recast?
Mm-hmm.
Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Iron Fist, you think it'll be them? See, yeah. I think Luke Cage maybe. I think with Iron Fist, they're less likely to even use them. I think they'll just set them aside for now.
Well, they got Shang-Chi, so they may stick with that for a little bit.
They may decide they have the martial arts side covered. Personally, I'd like to see them both. But if I have to pick one, I'll go with Simu Liu there. I think it might be someone like Ben Urich. Like Ben Urich was killed in Daredevil. I could see them wanting to use him again as a major character in Daredevil's supporting cast.
Yeah, I mean, that was and I say disappointing in the sense of I really liked the actor and the way he portrayed Ben Urich in this series. I was just disappointed in the sense of, oh man, I get it. I get the motive. I get why they did it, but it's just like Ben Urich is such a pivotal character in the Daredevil comics and has played a big role in so many different points in Matt's life and Daredevil's life respectively. Yes, I know they're the same person, but again, they take two different forms with Ben, even though Ben does know who he is. So I agree. I think that's another good thing. They are going to find another Ben Urich.
I mean, in general, this is all exciting, and I'm normally content to just wait for Marvel to announce things on their time. But there is a part of me that's like, I wish we'd get another thing that was like, if we were to use Jessica Jones again, well, Kristen Ritter is who would play it. Not unlike what he said about Charlie Cox and Daredevil, right? Mm-hmm. If we were to have the Punisher, then yes, John Bernthal would play that character if we were to ever use him again. Like I wish he'd just tell us, Like with this particular group of characters, I'm feeling very impatient. I'm almost
Yeah.
more impatient for them than I am for the X-Men, who I'm like, yeah, I'm super psyched for,
Well,
but
well,
they haven't started yet, so I'm perfectly content just to sit on and wait on those.
they're not they're not even officially on any kind of schedule. At least we know Daredevil's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Officially confirmed happening. So, but yeah, so as these rumors continue to drop, maybe it'll be another SDCC kind of announcement next year. Who knows? But again, a lot of good stuff happening. So, all right, our final story this evening involves, here we go. Banners changing. Banners coming up. Mr. Snell's favorite, hashtag Madam Web is the blueprint. But not for great news. Sony Pictures has officially delayed the release of the next two Spider-Man spin-off films from Sony. Kraven the Hunter is no longer going to be coming out January 13th, 2023. It will now premiere next October 6th, bumping Madam Web from that slot, and Madam Web will now debut February 16th, 2024. But here's another thing. Additionally, an untitled Marvel movie from Sony was pushed up from July 12th, 2024 to June 6th, 2024.
Spider-Man?
Amazing Spider-Man?
Tom Holland Spider-Man is what I think we're looking at there.
I think Amazing Spider-Man, if anything. I don't think Toby. I don't think Toby.
No, I don't think Toby either, but I think we got to see Tom Holland again soon.
Oh, Tom Holland?
Like,
okay,
soon,
sorry. I thought you said
I-
Toby there.
I
Yeah,
say soon.
Tom Holland, yeah.
I feel like we're not going to go into Secret Wars and not see Tom Holland again, right? Until then.
I would like to. I mean, I want to believe that because we've said before, like, Marvel Studios is not one to make that announcement on its own.
Well, no, I don't know. That would be probably announced in a joint press release, most likely.
Exactly. So that is a very good guess. The delay leave both films with an extended amount of time for post-production. I mean, we've seen a lot of set updates from Madam Web. I mean, they're still pushing on. Like, this is not deterring them to slow down or anything. So, again, Madam Web's going to be in the can pretty much for almost a year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Probably after post-production, it's probably going to come close to a year being in the can ready to go. But also the time change for Marvel Studios side of things, as there was a open slot for the MCU on February 16th, which many thought was going to belong to Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool 3. The Hollywood Reporter's Boris Kitt shared that an untitled Marvel movie was previously slated for February 16th has now moved to September 6th, 2024. Could that still be Deadpool 3?
Sure. Yeah, I'll be curious will they slot that in. There's so many questions about Deadpool 3. So many questions. For starters, let's get it officially announced, but that's fine.
Yeah, so. But, all right, well, again, Madam Web is still the blueprint. Madam Web is still happening. We just got to wait just a little bit longer. But, again, always remember, she's the blueprint. So. Always. All right, so that is all the news that is fit to talk about this week. So we will take our final ad break before we get into listener feedback, Fact or Fictions, and Comic Book Club. So, listeners, as always, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud, so give it that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right, Brent. We actually got a few good listener questions and an email question.
We did. Levi emailed in, what are your thoughts on Armor Wars? Are you excited for it? Do you feel like Rhodes is an underrated character? What do you think?
I would say I feel I think Rhodey has been more used than War Machine. Outside of Iron Man 2, we just talked about Iron Man 3. We see more Rhodey in that than Iron Patriot. We see Rhodey more in Infinity War than him in the armor. So I think Rhodey has not been underused. I agree that War Machine has been an underused character.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call him underrated. It seems like he's pretty popular. People seem to like him, but definitely agree about underused. This is a character who goes back to the first movie of the franchise, and then obviously Don Cheadle took over the role with the third movie of the franchise, right? Like he's been around a long time. I'm excited because I feel like it's time for him to get his due as that, leading man project. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for Armor Wars. And we now know it's like coming right out of Secret Invasion. That'll be cool to see, but that's kind of where I'm at with it.
And especially that he has announced that Armor Wars officially fulfills his contract with with the MCU, with Marvel Studios. So, well, he says that again. People say, "Oh my God, no more Rhodey." It's like, just calm down. It's kind of like the Tom Holland thing. Rhodey's not going to die. Rhodey will continue on. It's just right now they don't have an official place for him, but I'm pretty confident he will probably be in Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars.
I think Iron Man 3 finished Robert Downey Jr.'s initial contract too. And we saw him like, what, 4 or 5 more times? So it's fine. Like they can do extensions. All right,
Exactly.
from Tim Rooney, when will people realize the Clone Saga is the definitive Spider-Man story? And that Ben Reilly is the true wall crawler. I mean, this man is just speaking facts, right?
Exactly.
He's just.
Should we go Ben Reilly as the blueprint?
I mean, from his lips to God's ears, it's just that's what it is, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, it's always funny. Like, me being the collector of Omnis at that point, I'm still in amazement that the Clone Saga and Ben Reilly both take up 2 Omnis, each respectively. Ben Reilly's saga and then the Clone Wars, the Clone Saga are all out of print.
so I have those trades. There's like 11 or 12 of them, and they're
Yeah.
good sized trades. Yeah, I have all of them, and yes, I'm the guy that's read the Clone Saga more than once. What are you gonna do?
It had a good idea. It just ran with it a little bit too long. But like you said, there is a version of that is a digestible version of supposedly what they wanted to do.
The real Clone Saga is what it's called. It's only like 5 issues long, and yeah, it's a fun read. You can tell it's like it feels super abbreviated after having read the original Clone Saga.
Yes.
It's like, man, this is moving at a lightning pace, but I still happily read it, and I've read that more than once also.
Yeah. So we got one more, right?
Yes, from Katie from Star Wars Alliance and Slice of Katie, Slice of Film. Honest question with who coming to town. This would be Daredevil. What would be your reactions if Marvel doesn't follow the storyline of the Netflix series? They take it in a similar but different direction and recharacterize Daredevil a bit with a different persona. What do you think?
I'm okay with, if they like she kind of worded it in a similar but different direction. I'm okay with that. I still have the Netflix show. I still have that to go back to, enjoy what I did, but I don't need to have exactly what Netflix did. As I've said before, I trust in what Kevin Feige did. Do I agree with everything he does? No, not necessarily. But just like in the comics, when we have had writers like Kevin Smith, Brian Michael Bendis, Ed Brubaker, Charles Soule, Mark Waid, Chip Zdarsky, they have each brought a very different view. I mean, when we talk about like massive change, you go from Ed Brubaker's run to Mark Waid's run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who really hate that run, and I'm one of the people that count myself. I really enjoy that run because of what he was trying to do post Shadowlands, and that it brought a very interesting dynamic to it. And again, people say, "Oh, Daredevil's got to be like always down in the dumps. He's got to be like sour and things like that, sullen." Matt Murdock is always not like that, and Daredevil's not always like that. So, it's one of those things where I'm okay with a little different persona. I wouldn't call it different persona. I would say like different from how the Netflix series is. I still think we're gonna get as long as the heart of the character of both Matt and Daredevil and all the other characters are there, I like it because again, you can't take away my comics or Netflix from me because I still have those to go back to. I doubt I will be disappointed.
Give me the choice. Sure, formalize it all, call it canon. We'll go with that. But it's just not very realistic at this point. I don't see Kevin Feige saying, "Okay, we've got 18 episodes of Daredevil Born Again coming out, and you better go watch those 36 episodes plus 8 episodes of the Defenders to catch up on what you need to know. Like, they're not going to do it.
Well, if Brent has anything to say about it, you will do that.
Yes, that's right. I mean, you definitely should, but the reason you should do it is because they're great shows. It's a great show. I mean, Daredevil is a fantastic comic book series, and it's just so well done, and that's the reason to do it. I'm not going to be hung up on it as long as they keep the spirit of the characters. And that, to me, that just means it needs to be recognizably Daredevil. And you know what? If he tells a joke, that's still Daredevil, right? Like, if you go back and watch those shows, there's jokes all throughout them. Like, they're not they're not a comedy the way, say, She-Hulk is, but Daredevil absolutely will hold his own with the jokes and stuff, depending on who he's around. When he's giving Kingpin a beatdown, maybe he's not joking. When he's, just palling around with Spider-Man, he might be a little more joking at the time.
Keep putting that in the ether, my friend. Keep putting
absolutely.
that in the ether. But also to your point, like, again, Charlie Cox is still playing this character. Vincent D'Onofrio is still playing his character, as you just talked about. We may be getting back the actor who played Foggy, Karen, all that might be coming back. They are still, I believe, the passion that they have for it. If John Bernthal decides to come back, he's coming back because he's said before, like, I want to keep the essence of this character that I've built at that point. If he is truly going to come back, then that means they've come to some understanding about what he can and can't do, and he's comfortable with that. Same thing with Charlie Cox. They want, like, as Feige said, as when he was forced to basically admit that if Daredevil is going to be in the MCU, Charlie Cox is going to be Matt Murdock Daredevil. He has been holding on to this for so long. There is something that he likes what Charlie brings to the part. I trust in what it is. If they make a little bit change from Netflix or make some big changes, and if it works, it works. I have full confidence in it. So, but good question. I like that.
This comment from David: if Danny Rand doesn't come back, can we still get Colleen Wing? Give me the choice, I'd bring them both back, but I would focus on Colleen Wing and just have Danny Rand basically be there as a little bit of a bridge from the Iron Fist show of what the Defenders was to what the Iron Fist show could be with the way Colleen Wing ended that show.
That's one of the reasons why she was offered, or at least offered a part maybe to join. I think she was offered a role in Shang-Chi, and she turned it down because she still wants to hold on hope that she can still come back to play Colleen. So, I think I remember reading that.
It was something to the effect of that. Yeah, like she was offered. It was offered a part to audition for a role.
Yeah.
In Shang-Chi, and she did not want to write herself out of that chance. And apparently, at that point, she already knew about Charlie Cox coming back. And
yes.
So, yes, please bring her back.
Yeah, very
Absolutely.
good. Give us the Daughters of the Dragon series we all wanted.
Oh my gosh, yes.
All right, so great questions, and again, thank you. Big thank you to Levi for taking us up on the email. So keep those coming in. And again, if you're not on Twitter and social media, the email's open. Brent is watching.
That is true.
So, all right. So before we get to your fact or fictions, let me put up the ones from last week. So number 1. We will not see an official X-Men film until after Secret Wars. This got 90% say fact, so it looks like most of the people are thinking that we are now X-Men are coming in phase 7. So, number 2, the cast of the Fantastic Four will not be officially revealed until SDC 2023. 70% said fact, 30% said fiction. And number 3, Daredevil will only appear in no more than 2 episodes of Echo. 65% said fact, 35% said fiction. All right, Brent, your turn this week. What you got?
I have 3 pretty random different ones, no theme or anything like that. All right, let's start off with this. Both Zemo and the Abomination will appear in the Thunderbolts. Both Zemo and the Abomination will appear in the Thunderbolts.
I will go fact, because it's one of those things that, we've heard I've heard you and I both heard that when people say, I can't believe they're not putting Zemo in. You just didn't see Zemo in the introduction. Didn't mean that he wasn't going to be in it. So
Yeah.
they're holding something to the chest because I'm okay with getting some surprises. That's good. I like it. Same thing with Abomination. We still haven't come to the conclusion of She-Hulk. There may be a tag about, again, I know they said he can no longer ever transform into Abomination. Hell, a little person that I'm thinking about. I don't want to say her name. I'm really don't want to think her name at that point. Might have something to say about that.
I mean, just get rid of the inhibitor and he's good. It was Zemo the last we saw. The Wakandans had him. They captured him or took him in custody. That's probably the way to put it. For all we know, there's going to be like a credit scene at the end of Black Panther that's Zemo getting out, right? Like,
Yeah.
and they don't want to reveal that yet because we're so close to that movie. So yeah, I'm fact on this. All right. Next up, it will be revealed that Thor and the Guardians know who Peter Parker is, know that Peter is Spider-Man, since they were off-world during No Way Home.
So say that one more time.
We will find out that Thor and the Guardians of the Universe, Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Universe, that's funny.
As
know-
Guardians of the Galaxy.
They know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man because they were off-world during Doctor Strange's spell in No Way Home.
Yeah, I will go fiction on that because just because they were off-world, I say Doctor Strange's magic. Since it's affecting the multiverse, it affects more than just the planet he's on. I think it goes further than that. So I'm gonna go fiction. I would like them to remember, but I say fiction. I think his magic is more than just Earthbound.
I'm going to go fiction as well. I actually do think they could know. I just don't think they do. Because I think Strange saying, everyone on this world, basically, there's only references to this Earth or other Earths, not other planets. They were both off-world during it. I think they could know. I just don't think any of them do. Because there's been no interaction between Peter and the Guardians or Peter and Thor. I mean, there was a little bit of the Guardians before they knew his name, but outside of Infinity War, I don't know. I mean, they interacted there, but you might know what he looks like. Did they ever even hear his name? I don't know.
Well, he wasn't using his made-up name.
Yeah, that's right. So definitely not Thor. But regardless, even if it is Kate, I don't think those are the characters they're going to use to make that kind of reveal. When someone finds out it's Peter, that Peter is Spider-Man, it won't be Thor and the Guardians.
Yeah, no, they'll be feeling the Peter tingle.
Yeah, I was just thinking about what was the state of potential characters that could know, and that's who I come up.
No, I like that question just because you're right. It's not about they know. Do they actually remember? Not because of the spell, because I mean that brings up a point saying, well, the spell really wouldn't affect them because they really don't know anyways. So.
All right, let's see. That's 2, right?
Yep.
All right, let's go with this. After Wolverine is established in the MCU, we will see a What If episode featuring him teaming up with Captain America in World War II.
Oh, that is a hard yes. Absolutely. I think that the fact that they're doing a video game with Black Panther and Captain America in World War II. I think there's so many great storylines from that age. That's yes, fact all day.
I think they got to do it, right? There's so many comics. So yeah, fact. To me, it just seems like a no-brainer, and it doesn't have to be the same voice cast or whatever as who plays them in the movies, but to me, it's a no-brainer. They got to do it.
Yeah, it's just come on. The money, we just printed you a whole bunch of money there, right?
Yeah.
But all right, well, I will post those on Sunday afternoon, so make sure your voices are heard. And Brent, let us get to concluding our evening with our next book in our journey into the relaunch of the Uncanny X-Men with X-Men. As we'll be calling this Uncanny X-Men, but it was Adjectiveless X-Men at the time, but this was all under the Uncanny label at that point. So issue 94 of Uncanny X-Men. So what did you think about this issue, first off?
This is just fun. Revisiting this era, it's just fun. I really enjoyed it. I was kind of disappointed when it ended, to be honest with you. But I'm having a blast with this. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I liked how I really liked in the opening, revisiting this whole idea. Okay, now we've got all these new players. Where do they all stand? And Sunfire shared his name. Is like, peace out. I want nothing to do with you. I barely wanted to do this to begin with, but don't ever call me again.
Yes, I was laughing at that. It's like you tried to get out last time. They were going to let you go, and you showed back up 4 panels later, and nope,
Yeah.
still making your getaway, I guess.
I love the conversations Xavier has when Banshee's like, I don't think I need this anywhere, but what about this? What about this? Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll be like Boba Fett and just say, you know what? You made a convincing argument just by saying a couple of sentences. Sure, I'll change my mind.
There's a line in there where Banshee talks about his like gray hairs, and Xavier says, "Rubbish, your hair is about as gray as mine." I was cracking up, just
Yeah.
cracking up.
What was surprising to me, and again, it's been so long since I've read this properly, of the leaving of the originals. Jean and Angel and Polaris and Iceman just piecing out and then putting it to Scott saying, are you going to come with us or are you going to stay under Xavier and lead this new team?
So I haven't read a ton of the original X Factor run, but would this be around the time that they went and did X Factor?
No, that comes much later.
That's later. Okay.
Yeah.
I had I don't know 2 or 3 issues from like that era of X Factor in my collection, I think, and then most of the X Factor that I had was basically in the 90s.
Yeah, that X Factor I think you're referring to with like when Jean comes back and things like that. Like from that comes after right now, right before Mutant Massacre. So that's
Okay.
that's a ways away.
Yeah,
So
that's a long time.
yep. But yeah, what I did love also, I love a good Danger Room sequence, and I love those
yes.
splash pages. That was again just Dave Cochran, man, and the colorist. Ooh, man. I mean, again, there's say what you say about modern art, but this stuff is just fire.
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe it's not as detailed as modern art tends to be, but it's still great to look at. I'm not looking at this and complaining about the art one bit.
Yeah. What about this whole idea of bringing back a villain from way back in the original Silver Age era of X-Men, like from X-Men 22 and 23? We bring back this villain of ours. I'm trying to remember his name just because it's like, oh my gosh, I can.
Nefaria?
Yeah,
Nefaria? It's
yep,
like whenever a writer does this, I just think that they must have been like the huge fan of this one-off villain that never got used again. I'm bringing him back. I love that guy. That's what I always think of.
And we even get an appearance of Beast because he's on the Avengers now.
Yeah. Beast is on the Avengers. The Avengers were called to help out, and he's like, "Well, the Avengers are busy. I'm going to call in the X-Men." And I love how later Cyclops basically just says, "We're here on behalf of the Avengers," and they get to go in. Like that's all he had to say.
It's like, oh, the U.S. military had to find security at that time. It's like, oh, trust me, bro, trust me. Okay,
Yeah, no joke.
Cool. I mean, you wouldn't be flying around in a Blackbird. You're not firing on us, but yeah, sure, I'll trust you. But it's interesting. Our villain is, firing everything they got, and the Blackbird is one to have like contingency on contingency. But as like all good comics around this age, you got to leave them falling to their death or in a death trap in order to get to the next one.
Yeah, I gotta assume Storm is just gonna rustle up some wind or something to catch their fall, but we'll find out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to point out going back a little bit is, Thunderbird and Cyclops. That little kind of argument back and forth.
Yeah, and I remember Thunderbird doesn't last super long time with the X-Men, but yeah. They definitely were struggling to get on the same page with each other.
But I do like what Storm says, when John Proudstar, Thunderbird says, what's the matter, lady? It bother you to work with a loser? And like I said, I see no loser, John Proudstar. In this room, I see only a man. Just because, like, he is one to, he wants to prove his worth. He wants to be looked at as, as a great leader, as someone who represents his people. And, he doesn't like people telling him he's wrong or being disappointed in him, but he's also not going to back down. But it's very interesting to kind of see that. And like you said, John Proudstar is not long for this world.
No.
But all right, so we will return to this. yeah, Brent, you're not going to be here next week, so we're going to have to take a break from this.
Yep. We'll take a break from it and we'll come back in 2 weeks with the next issue.
Yep, we will. So again, in 2 weeks, we will bring you issue number 95. So, all right, another great episode. And Brent, tell people how they can follow you.
Yeah, Brentech Prime on Twitter and TikTok. So come hang out. That's where I'm at.
Awesome. And you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balga. You can follow my other show, World's Finest True Believers, at Finest Believers. You can follow this show on Twitter at Marvel 8 Podcast. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide fact or fictions, ask questions. Anything. DMs are open on the show account, both our accounts. Continue to rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever podcast your choice may be. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining us in the chat. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. Well, there was one story that we kicked down to the end of the show just because, it's good news, but there's not much to really chew on, but we'd be remiss not to bring it up. Coming from Deadline, Jeff Kaplan and Ian Springer have been tapped to write the Fantastic Four for Marvel Studios. So with Matt Shackman being named as director, they now have their writers. And the insiders add with the Kaplan and Springer named that the writing duo has actually been involved in the Fantastic Four for some time. Even before Shackman was tapped as director, they have been outlining this as the next series of films will fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe alongside Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige. Marvel, as always, had no comment on this. Feige and Shackman will now, they did confirm this, that they will now be focusing on finding their cast while the project is being written. So this debunks the possible castings that have supposedly already been chosen, such as Penn Badgley and Jodie Comer, supposedly already being cast for this. Now, it doesn't mean that they may not still be in the running for it, but this kind of debunks that they have been cast.
Right. Yeah, I looked up these two guys, Kaplan and Springer, and I don't know either of them. So this is where I'm just going to have to trust in the Marvel process that they found some good people to work with them here. And of course, I'm happy with the director, with Shackman coming on board for that. So okay, I don't know who these script writers are. That happens. It's okay.
Yeah, well, while they're new, the writing duo is one of the quote-unquote hotter screenwriter teams in town, having sold a number of specs in the past. One of those high-profile projects was Warner Brothers' comedy Disaster Wedding, which, it's high-profile, but I wouldn't call it a great thing, which recently landed Palm Springs Helmer Max Barkova to direct. And, again, people get up in arms saying, oh my God, how can they do this? How can they let someone who's done this before saying, again, Kevin Feige and the team behind him, all that leadership team, they're not going to put some people in charge that they don't have trust in and they don't believe in what they can do. They know. I mean, again, there's a lot riding on this. We haven't, everyone's been waiting between this and X-Men and other ones coming into this. Like, there's a lot riding on this, so take a deep breath. It's okay they haven't had the biggest hits or the biggest names at that point, but let's just trust in the process.
As David says, everyone's next favorite movie is about family.
Yes.
What more is there to say?
There's your end credit scene, David. At that point, just, the Dodge Charger coming in and saying, Fantastic Four, huh? That's a nice family. Mine's bigger. And just see all those Dodge Chargers line up at that point.
There you go.
And then we got Transformers and everything like that, dinosaurs. Let's just get crazy. Let's get nuts. So
yeah, I'm into it.
Yep. All right, folks. We will see you next week. You'll have to see who our guest host is going to be as Brent takes a little bit of break from Marvel Alliance for 1 week. So we will see you then. Bye-bye.